everybody, we're proud to announce our Saturday morning cartoons brought to you by Hey Poopy Podcast.
Dumping every fourth Saturday of the month.
Stories taken directly from our interviews. These are one-of-a-kind masterpieces of hilarious proportions.
Animated by Matt Holtzclaw, our very first guest of the podcast.
We are so excited, we're going to poop our pants!
For more information, go to heypoopypodcast.com.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
And now, the Hey Poopy Podcast with Dave and Ellen.
Yes. That song still makes me laugh. I'm just imagining.
It's the best theme song ever.
I'm just imagining the writer of that song, Jordan, just sitting in his studio, just doing the little voices. But
it's literally the best theme song ever.
I love it. It's great.
But this is Hey Poopy Podcast with
Dave
and Ellen, and this is episode 74. But it'll always be number 2 to us.
And we have an amazing special guest with us today.
And we do.
The one, the only, Shelly Watson.
Yes.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for being on the show.
We know Shelly from the burlesque performing community in New York City, but our executive producer, Stormy Leather, was like, oh, Shelly has some really great stories. You need to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So not only is she a fancy singing lady, but she's a pooper.
I am a pooper, and I don't know if anybody's come up with this saying for you guys, but has anybody ever said, what's shattening?
No, that's pretty good, though.
Thanks.
We gotta use it now.
Is that a spin-off of What's Happening?
That's exactly right. What's shattening?
Dave, I see a t-shirt.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
In the works.
Well, there's lots of them. Yeah, I have so many great poop stories. And first of all, I just want to say thanks to you guys for, talking about things that are basically, in the bowels of our thoughts and not really at the forefront.
Oh, yeah. We are, as like the old Rodney Dangerfield joke goes, we started at the bottom, we stayed there.
Yes. It's a good view.
Yeah.
We didn't start at the bottom. We are the bottom.
Okay, sorry.
And we celebrate our bottom.
Yeah, end of the line, so to speak.
Yeah.
But Shelly, before we go into exactly who you are, we like to know, how do you poo? How have your poops been recently?
My poops have been really good. I'm a good pooper, I have to say. In general, I'm a really good pooper. I'm probably an excessive pooper.
Oh, how many times do you go a day?
Well, I'm very much like a cat. Like, I always go right after I eat.
Into a litter box?
And literally in the morning when I get if I just open the coffee pot, I don't have to drink it. I can just smell it. And my stomach is like, time to poop. Oh. And I'm usually, a lot of people have struggles emptying completely. You know what I mean? Like they have to start a little bit, then they get up. But I have a pretty good breathing ritual that I do too. That definitely helps a lot.
That.
Yeah, interesting.
It really, really helps. I mean, I guess I should say I suffer from colitis.
Oh.
But, no pun intended, as long as I don't take medication for it, if I avoid certain foods or certain times to eat and stuff like that. And sometimes I will eat foods that I want, knowing that I'm going to have to pay for it later, which is the story that I'm going to share with you guys today, because, sometimes it's just worth it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do that. So I've got a few different schedules and tips and traveling poop ideas and things like that. Poop is a big deal to me.
Yeah. It's a big deal to us too.
Excellent.
When you have colitis, if you have to go, you have to go.
Yeah. And poop is the great equalizer. It's the one thing that connects us all.
Everybody poops, girl.
Exactly. If you eat food, it's got to come out the other end. So, yep.
Well, for a lot of people, unless you have a J pouch, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
then it's,
It's
that
a
would
little
be
different.
something great too to talk about.
We interviewed a woman with who had rectal cancer.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
She
And
talked
she
about
had
that.
to live with a colostomy or an enostomy bag for like 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And now there's a whole movement. There's a girl, I can't remember what her name was. I wish I could to give her a shout out. An English girl. And she designs fancy covers for her, for the
Oh.
bag and the pouch
Cute.
cover.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's super cute. So she like
Ooh, I
matches
wanna look
into
her
her
up.
bikini and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my God, so cute.
Yep. So she's like, I spent most of my time, hiding from it.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's just that people don't know. And she made a great point. She's like, my pouch is way cuter than your butthole.
Well, according to a couple doctors that have seen my asshole in the past year, I supposedly have a beautiful hole.
Really?
Yeah. I showed my hole on the podcast, and I was having some hemorrhoid issues. So I've had a couple doctors look at my hiney hole, and they're like, your butthole is beautiful. And I'm like, no, I don't want to hear that.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
That's even with the hemorrhoids.
yeah, even with the hemorrhoids, it
You
makes
have a
no
naturally
sense.
beautiful anus,
Yeah.
apparently.
I don't think so.
Cover girl.
What about you, Dave? How's
I mean,
your
mine probably
butthole?
looks like a abandoned building. I don't even know. It's I've never seen it. I don't care to see it.
Well, maybe should we ask your
ask my
lovely
wife?
wife?
I don't
Yeah.
think she's even seen it. She probably
Really?
has. I don't know. She probably has.
I can't imagine that. I mean, maybe, like in a Seinfeldian kind of episode where you got up out of bed and you tripped over the
Actually,
cat,
hold on
and
hold on
coughed.
hold on for 1 second. Tiny. Hold on.
It probably has too much hair. Like my boyfriend, I had to wax his butthole once because he was tattooing that area. And,
Oh my gosh.
and I didn't even get into waxing. I just shaved it. But he had so much hair, I didn't see his butthole because it was just like a dark forest. You could not see
you
the
have a
butthole
machete?
through the trees.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
my wife come on here real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, you're on the show. Have you ever seen? Well, hold on. This might be easier with the. Maybe you guys can ask her. I'll give her the headphones. Hold on.
Okay.
This is an exclusive. Dun, 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 dun.
I just
Tiny D exclusive.
Hey, girl.
Hi.
Hey.
I just got out of the
So
shower.
it was great because Ellen was talking about, when she went to the doctor and he told her that she had a beautiful butthole. And I asked Dave, how's your butthole? And he's like, I don't know, like an abandoned building. I've never seen it. And I said, well, I bet you Tiny has. And he's like, no, I don't think so. And I brought up like a kind of Seinfeldian moment, like maybe he got up out of bed one day and like tripped and fell over and coughed at the same time, Have you ever, even if you hadn't mentioned it, have you ever seen Dave's butthole?
I've never seen like inside the butthole. No.
I don't
Just
know if we're
butt
talking
cheeks?
about inside. I mean,
Well-
just like, the starfish, like the,
No.
wow,
I know.
you guys have been together how long?
Well, we have an anniversary coming up, so maybe that should be on the agenda.
Well, you know what is really weird, Tiny, is that I know that my husband has seen my butthole and I've seen his, and we won the newlywed game, so that could be
All right. Couple
that could be
goals.
part of it.
Couple goals.
I'm just saying, not everybody's into the butthole, so it's fine. So okay, but look for it.
But I
Accidental
like-
butthole sightings.
I like his butt cheeks, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it super hairy? Ellen made a prediction that she thought that Dave's ass crack was super hairy.
It's like medium.
Yeah. You guys, that's the next visual that you put up is what is considered small, medium, and large amounts of anal hair.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
Tiny.
Thank you.
Wow, I stand
Exclusive report. exclusive.
colorected.
Yeah.
Well, when we can go and see human beings again, I had Dr. Evan Goldstein look at my butthole on the podcast. We recorded it. And Dave promised me that he would be next in line to get Dr. Evan Goldstein. So, doctor, we're coming with Dave's butt for a full report.
Christ. I mean, is that news?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
see. I guess it's going to happen at some point. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see.
So, Dave, how have you been pooping?
I had a nice little number 5 today in the Bristol stool chart.
Ooh.
You know, just pretty standard
Yes,
stuff.
I was in a meeting with Dave earlier today, and he had to cut the meeting short because he had to go.
Yeah, I didn't.
Can
wanna,
you?
I'm sorry.
Do you lose them if you can't go? Like if you don't go immediately, is it like gone for a couple hours, or can you bring it back?
I feel like it's kind of like it's a mixed bag, but for the most part, I just like it's that feeling like where you just know, like there's some business that needs to be attended to. I hate that feeling, so I need to like let it go. Especially if I'm in the house. If I'm in the house, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the toughest things, like for me, as far as pooping. I wouldn't say that I'll lose it completely, you know, but like most people in New York City, we only have one bathroom. And, you know, my husband, I don't mean to sound sexist, but he does like to take an extraordinarily long time in the toilet. You know, so when he comes out and he's got 2 huge red circles on top of his thighs where his elbows have been, where he's been scrolling on his phone. But, you know, I've come up with a plan. I have 2 poop buckets in my house that I poop in when I can't get to the bathroom.
Wow.
That's not even my story. That's just...
No, we'll get into your story in a minute. But
that's just truth.
The fact that you have not just one, but 2.
It's like I got a backup.
Yep.
Wow.
Backup so I don't get backed up.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
It's like the Girl Scouts, you know? Always be prepared.
I have not gone to that far. My boyfriend will take up the bathroom for 15 minutes, and sometimes when I have to poop, it's literally turtling coming out of me. It's like within 3 seconds, it's do or die. And sometimes he'll be in the bathroom too long, and I've not gone that far where I poop in a bucket.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's they're baskets. They're not buckets. I'm a little classier than that.
Ooh.
One of them has a matching Kleenex holder. So, you know,
are they wicker baskets?
No, you know, here, I'll show them to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you are at home. You can show us.
I guess, like bucket just makes it sound
like it's
Home
a little
Depot
plastic bucket.
No. So I have, there's the first one here, which I'll show you, that has the matching Kleenex thing too. Do you see that?
Oh.
Okay. So this is
it's like a proper waste basket.
I see.
Yeah. And you see it normally has, so what I'll do for this one, because this is our bedroom one, and it's just Kleenex and, you know, sex tissue.
Ooh.
So I'll take a plastic bag, I'll dump this into the plastic bag, and then put that in here.
Nice.
So then I poop on all of this stuff, but it's within the bag. But underneath the bed, we have this pretty basic one.
Oh.
So it's like a
and
kind of
that one, you know,
bucket.
If there's a lot of stuff going on the bedroom and the bathroom is full, that's my travel poop can.
I know when you said basket, though, I was thinking a beautifully woven Easter basket. So
that was the wrong word.
Yeah.
That was the...
I was about to say with a
word.
basket, there must be seepage.
Well, I didn't want you to think that I was like, you know, kidnapped, tied to a basement, shitting in a 5-gallon paint.
You are not the first person who this friend of mine did not tell me the story on the podcast, but she told me because she only has one bathroom. There has been times she's had to go on in a plastic bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have no qualms about that.
Yeah.
I've yet to do that.
If you got to go, you got to go.
But, you know, I like that. I like your style, though.
I like to have variety. And people say, why don't you get a bedpan? And I'm like, bedpans to me are grosser because it's just like, it's like shitting in a soup bowl.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just a reminder too of what's been in there.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, and I don't mind that. Like, I'm a definite looker, but I'm not, you know, full on buying a German toilet, you know, to be like, oh, look, das ist der gute shit.
A good Scheiße.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I'll send you, there's also these folding camp toilets that are like $25, and you could just up instead of a bedpan, it's like, it's like a seat and with a plastic bag insert, so you can poop right in there.
Don't get me wrong. I spent a lot of time in my childhood what my dad would call camping, which was really just homelessness in our camper. And we had a bucket with a toilet seat cover on it. And so you could just take that,
Yeah, so if you did it back then in a bucket, you could do it now in a bucket. You've been trained.
I spent about 6 months shitting outside, too, because I lived on an Indian reservation for about 2 years.
Oh.
And the toilet in our little shack fell through the floor.
Oh.
And at the time, my dad, I think, was on his 4th or 5th wife, who had 6 kids. And then me, so there were 7 kids, and
God.
And in a 2-bedroom tiny shack. And once the toilet fell through, the teenage boys, when it first started, they didn't want to go outside, so they'd still shit in the toilet that didn't work. And so after about a week, my dad came home from a job. He was like off doing construction, and he was like, "What the fuck?" And they had to pull out the shitty toilet and throw it out. But we pooped outside for a while. Yeah.
That is unbelievable, man.
Sorry. I had to play that clip.
Sorry, Dave.
No, that is unbelievable. Wow.
Maize. Your people call it corn.
My quick check-in, even though I can't really make it that quick because I gave Dave a little bit of a preview for this because we were supposed to interview somebody a couple of days ago. It fell through. But as you all know, my check-ins are usually epic. So last week, I decided to play with fire.
Ellen and Quick do not go. Those are 2 things.
Not for check-ins. I can be quick about everything else.
Yeah.
But last week I decided to play with fire because I was a little bit constipated from this like goat cheese that I was eating, which in past episodes you heard about. The constipation was real, so I started taking Swiss Chris. I took 1 and pooped okay. So I was like, you know what? I'm quarantined at home. I'm going to take 2 Swiss Chris. I'm going to play with fire. And if something scary happens, at least I'm home. I can take care of this, right? So next day, made 2 massive dumps. The first one came out like Bristol 4 that came out then more liquidy as it went on. The second one was, as we call the Messy Nessie. It was a glacier size that just poked out the top. And then the third one happened in my pants.
Because you didn't make it back?
No, I was sitting there. You're welcome, people. I shit my pants. The third one happened. I was sitting on the couch and I was like, oh, I got to go. And by the time I ran to the bathroom, I went.
Yeah, you
so
went to
the last one was liquid, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't a lot. It was just a dollop. But it was in my pants.
A little kiss.
Wow. Yeah, and that's kind of worse because it squishes.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you find a little nug, it's not so bad because you can be startled by it in your underwear. Like, oh my God, what's that?
Yeah.
But like those little, the squishy ones.
Yeah.
It's, it's like Photoshop on the spread. How far do you want that drop shadow to spread?
Yeah. Exactly. But if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. So you take laxatives, too many of them, and you say to yourself, if shit happens, I'm at home. Well, shit did happen.
Yeah, well, you know what, honey? A lot of girls who are looking for that beach body don't mind shitting their pants until it comes.
Exactly.
And then thinning tea. So, but otherwise, since then, I've been pooping pretty well. Yesterday, I pooped today pretty well, a Bristol 4. Yesterday, I made the most beautiful textbook Bristol 4s, 2 of them. And then for dinner last night, Dave, I had popcorn and broccoli.
Ooh,
so,
why?
That's a fiber fiesta. So I'm expecting something fantastic later on today.
How are you farting, though? Because those are 2 farty foods.
I do not get farty from foods like that.
I do.
Yeah,
really?
I do, big time.
Yeah. I get
broccoli?
farty from things like bread. Bread makes me crazy farty.
Are you a gluten-free person?
Yep.
So it's veggies it's broccoli for me too, and green peppers.
Oh.
Orange peppers, not bad. But any kind of green peppers and, of course, Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, veggies don't do it to me.
And garlic.
But of course, like beans, raw garlic sometimes, but not really. Mostly beans. Gerald and I were having refried beans in our tacos a couple times during quarantine. And I swear to God, 1 tablespoon of refried beans gives me minimum 10 large, humongous farts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Oh, where's your home state again, Ellen? I can't remember where you hail from. No, but I mean
originally. I'm from Connecticut.
Yeah. See, I'm from California. So we were, raised on frijoles negros. So I think I'm used to I think my gut is used to it. Yeah. And I definitely have supreme travel tummy. Like when I travel, my stomach is like, I don't think so.
Yeah. I have white girl tummy where I eat white bland food. So, yeah.
I remember, Izani, right, Dave, Johnny and Uriel. Yes. I was talking to them last year at the Seattle Boylesque Festival, and we decided to meet up for dinner afterward. And I told Johnny, I said, okay, I'm going to make reservations. And he looked at me and he goes, okay. He goes, Isaiah's diet, right? And I said, no. He's like, it's basically inner city 6th grader. So I was like, oh, chicken nuggets. And he's like, that's it. That's all he'll eat, right? And I knew right away what he was talking about. I was like, okay, talk about Tuesdays. Okay, he likes, And I just found that really interesting because a lot of the foods that I enjoy are like what I would call kid foods. Like I like sandwiches. I like to make dinner out of like peanut butter and jelly crackers. And,
right.
Like that kind of stuff.
Like Lunchables? I like Lunchables.
I do enjoy that. No, what's really weird is I don't like Lunchables. I really don't like Lunchables. I'm not a huge, believe it or not, I'm not a huge sodium fan. I'm a sweet fan.
Oh, okay.
So, like if I was going to have a Lunchable, I would probably go with those packs of the Waverly crackers and the cheese that they put in there.
Oh, yeah.
Those little cheese and crackers. Because all that like deli meat, too much deli meat, not enough sweet.
Yeah.
That's the name of my new album.
Yeah, that's a
Shelly, before we go into more about your poop, can we talk about who you are? Can you introduce our audience to you?
Sure. Well, I'm Shelly Watson. They call me the Singing Siren. I've been in New York for 30 years. This year is my 30-year anniversary.
Amazing. Congrats.
Thank you. And now that I'm here, they say if you can make it here, you'll make it anywhere. But I think it's pretty much if you make it here, you can't live anywhere.
Exactly.
Where are you going to go?
Exactly.
And I have a pretty diverse background. Like I was a big metal rock and roller, hair metal band back in the 80s in LA. And then I went to Juilliard and I studied opera. I got a couple of degrees there, sang at the Met. Then I did stand-up comedy for like 7 or 8 years, did a couple TV shows, did a lot of voiceover work for TV shows like The State and stuff like that.
Oh, I missed that show.
Yeah, The State was so much fun. Like the, what is it? The Jew, the Italian, the redheaded gay. That's me. Porcupine Racetrack, which they just brought back.
Oh, really?
I think like last week I did that episode. But I've done a lot of stuff. I had a radio show that was on for 12 years, nationally syndicated, called Hip Opera, where I did operatic arrangements of like hip hop songs. Like everybody in the club getting tipsy. 1, here come the 2 to the 3 to the 4. Like that, But that is how I got my radio gig. And then I met Little Brooklyn, who I'm sure has some great poop stories herself.
Ooh.
And she asked me to come and host at Rififi Starshine Burlesque. That was like 13 years ago, I think. And that's how I got into burlesque. And then that's how I met you, Dave. And then Ellen, the last time I saw you was I was performing, I can't remember, it was Valentine's or whatever, and I was at Brooklyn Bowl, and you were riding your bike in the street. I was just coming out of that back door, and you had your little helmet on, and we were by the halal stand, and you were like, hey, Shelly! And I was like, oh, Ellen!
Aw, that's cute.
So funny.
Yeah. So that's what I'm all about, you know, and I teach and I host and I do a little bit of this and a whole lot of that and a lot of pooping.
Awesome. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, speaking of pooping, let's
get into it.
Let's get into the stories.
Oh my gosh. Like, okay.
You're welcome to start off your story, and then we have a couple questions too.
Great. Well, the story the tale of the tale that I'm telling today is hearkening back to a time about pooping in bags. About, 7 years ago, El Husbando and I decided to go to like one of those fancy all-inclusive resort places. Mm-hmm. And we ended up going to the Iberostar in the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And it was this beautiful, it was absolutely gorgeous. The place was gorgeous. The food was wonderful. But along with the colitis, I have high cholesterol. And like people, how people can get alcohol poisoning, I can get cholesterol poisoning. And they call it cholesterolemia.
Oh my God.
And it's where you become poisoned by it. Now, I have a tattoo, you see, done by, of course, Miss Scarlett.
Uh-huh.
And this lobster I got because I'm not supposed to eat lobster. It's the single highest cholesterol food on the planet.
Oh
wow.
And
I
only allow myself to have it once a year on my birthday. Well, my birthday had passed and I hadn't had it in a while, and we were at this gorgeous place and it was lobster night, so you make a reservation. You have to make a reservation for dinner at these things, which is so weird.
I know.
And so isn't that weird, Dave?
I'm always like, why? We're here.
Yeah. You're like, or if you show up and they're like, sorry, you should have called and made your reservations before you left for your trip. We're all filled up. And you're like, what the actual?
Yeah. I walked 10 feet from my room to get here. But anyway,
and I can see there's tables open. Yeah. So we ended up getting like a later dinner time. I think it was like 9:30 or something. And when we showed up, they said, okay, well, most people we offer, 2-pound lobster per person. They said, however, we're all out of those. So we either have a 1 pound or we have a 3 pound. Oh, and I'm like, well, don't insult me by bringing me 2 shitty little 1 pounders. Bring me daddy. You know what I mean? I said, I want the big one. I like them big. And so
you're a size queen. I get it.
I'm,
yeah.
I like them thick better than I like it long. And this lobster was thick. He had those big wide claws, that you can just get into, just drip in. And when you pull them apart and there's that little white stuff, that's all cholesterol. That's all it is.
Oh my God.
You might as well just be fucking having a bacon fat Slurpee. Like, it's just pure which cholesterol. Might not be bad if you put sugar in it. I'm just saying.
stir with butter stick.
Yes. And so I ate this 3-pound lobster, and my husband, he's like, and it's funny because we always call each other husband and wife, like we're like related to Mike Pence or Amish. It's hard to, thank you, husband. You're welcome, wife, like. And so he's like, wife, I hope you don't get sick. And I was like, I've been doing really good. I think I'll be fine. And so we take a walk around the fake pirate ship that's there, and we go back to the room and we go to bed, and we have this beautiful room that has a giant bathtub that could fit like 4 people, and it overlooks the ocean. So it's just this great view. Well, half an hour goes by and we're in bed. And just like so many of the great stories that you hear on your podcast, the, irrefutable.
Dave has a sound effect for that one.
Let's hear that, Dave. That's a little more high pitched than mine. I think mine is more in
bassier.
I think it's high, lower in the colon. So I think it has more of a bass sound to it. And I can also tell too, because when this happens, when I get this weird little shit point, 2 things happen. I never get headaches, but when I do, it's during this, and I get them right here. If I feel that little spot, I'm like, I'm going to have to shit and
Where,
it's
like,
going to
your
be
third
bad.
eye is
That's
in
exactly
the middle
right.
of your forehead.
Wow.
Just
Yep.
to describe to the people who can't see us.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's like a very simple, it's so dry, like I could draw a Sharpie on it, you know?
Yeah.
And I know exactly where it is. I don't know at what time it's going to happen, but because I'm used to this, I become prepared in my mind. I'm like, okay, where and how are you gonna shit? So I went into the bathroom and, you know, it starts out, you know, regular, just regular dumpage. And I'm like, whew, I feel better. And I'm looking at this gorgeous view that's out in front of me. And so then I, like usual, I go back in bed and I always bring a cold washcloth. I put it on the back of my neck because I usually start sweating at that point, right? So I'm laying in bed and then it comes where I can feel it closer in my sternum. And I'm like, this is a duel. I'm going to vomit and shit at the same time.
No.
So as I'm running to the bed, and this is not unusual for me. So I have a plan, right? And I usually alternate between shitting and vomiting in the toilet and the trash can. Okay. You have to decide which is going to be more liquid and less, because chunky is easier to clean up. You know what I mean? And shit just smells much, you know, more. So, you know, I've wrapped my, like, a hip, you know, like if you get out of a spa, like I've wrapped a towel around my waist and vomited. So when I shit, I only shit on the towel on the back of my legs. But sometimes I know when it's going to happen. So I'll sit on the trash can and vomit into the toilet, or I'll sit on the toilet and vomit into the trash can. Well, you know, at a lot of hotels, this was a while ago before they banned plastic bags, they would always put the liners in the trash bag.
Yeah.
So when you took one out, there was like 20 more bags underneath. So the cleaning person could just come and get it and then take it out. So I was switching back and forth between shitting and vomiting in each one of these bags. And each time I filled a bag, I tied it up and I put it in the bathtub because I was like, the trash can is filled every time I use it. So I had acquired, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 11 bags of various shits and vomit.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, a 3-pound lobster doesn't even equate to that much.
But you have to remember, though, too, it's not only, you know, we don't clear our entire bowels of the meals that we have every day.
Yeah, it's the previous sort of stuff that's in there.
And if you have, you know, any sort, it's, you know, basically I would say you feel those tater tots from the 4th grade. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I'm 52 and I've already had 11 colonoscopies. So I know everything about that go lightly stuff. It's a big lie because you don't go lightly. You go a shit ton.
Yeah.
They should call it shit ton. Drink a lot, shit a lot. So anyway.
It's coming out of me like lava.
And so I had all these bags of shit and vomit in the bathtub. And then I just started thinking, oh my God, the cleaning crew is going to come in and they're going to see all these bags of shit and vomit. Wonder what the fuck we're doing, what kind of weird sex game. So while my husband was sleeping, I put all of those, I took the laundry bag, you know what I mean, that they have hanging for dry cleaning. I took the laundry bag and I put all of the bags in there and I crept out of the room and I walked around the resort and I dropped off like a bag in this one and a bag in another one. Just distributed the shit everywhere so it wouldn't seem so obvious to come from one place.
Oh my goodness.
You're like a shit Santa Claus.
Like an
I am the
Easter
shit
egg.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, or an Easter egg.
Yeah, Easter egg.
I'm Panty Claus. Yeah, that's exactly right. And so I, you know, feeling pretty good about myself as I finished and I'm like, okay, that's done, you know, and I cleaned up the bathroom as best I could, you know, and there was still, you know, a little bit of funk because I didn't have the scrubber and all of that. And so then I get back in and I, you know, take a bath and I brush my teeth and everything and I get into bed and my husband's like, where did you go, babe? He's like, I thought I heard you getting sick. And I said, yeah, I did get sick. And he's, you know, after 15 years, he'll ask me, are you okay? And if I say, I just need some time to shit and vomit, he just leaves me alone.
Yeah.
You know, which is, and some people are like,
Yeah.
that's so sad. I'm like, no, I don't want him around, you know, because when you're like vomiting and shitting and somebody's sitting on the other side, like, you know, you want to watch Millions tonight? You know, it's like, I appreciate the casualness of the conversation, but yeah. And so he looked at me and he's like, why do you, you know, why are you have all your clothes on? And I said, well, I did get really sick and I shit and vomited in all of these bags. And I was too embarrassed and ashamed that the cleaning crew would come. So I thought it'd be a better idea to take it and just distribute it in different ones. So they would just pull up one bag and not see all of that. And he just starts laughing hysterically. And I said, what's so funny? What's wrong? He goes, didn't you stop to think about all the security cameras? He's like, and so they're going to be sitting there being like, who is this crazy white woman bringing her shit around and dropping it into all the, you know, that's such a Karen thing to do. Because it's only like white women who get caught taking shits in people's driveways. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's me.
Oh my God. That is the
Or they might be looking at the security cameras because it's a security camera and going, what else is she dropping? Because they may not be thinking it's vomit and poop. They're like, is she dropping something else?
Like a
What's
drug
going
mule.
on?
Oh, like, yeah. I
Bags of
came to the
cocaine.
Dominican to distribute drugs. That's,
Yes.
you know, because
At a
there's
resort.
there's such a shortage there.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? You need some more American poop in your life. Yeah. And then I was
Shelly,
just mortified.
I don't think we've had officially somebody else on who's had colitis. So what
Yeah.
is colitis?
Well, there are varying forms of it, and it's essentially has to do with disruptions within the colon. And it can mean many different things. It can mean sensitivities to certain foods, sensitivities to temperatures, sensitivity sometimes to even positioning. You know what I mean? There can be, some people can have blockage. Some people need surgery for it. Some people need medication. Some people, you know, do have to get, you know, the bags, the pouches. And it's such a wide range. And I remember the first time I met my husband's family, I met every single one, every cousin, every aunt, every uncle, everybody. And a lot of times stress, like most people who have afflictions, it really aggravates it, you know, because you know, Lucille, and you've done a lot of work on that, but the middle, you know, the stomach chakra and how everything just kind of like comes into there and it's all emotions. And I ate a lot of food that I shouldn't have because I didn't want to be rude, you know, and I ended up getting really sick. Oh. And I was in a house full of 25 people and they could hear me getting sick. And I was, you know, laying on the floor where the cold tile feels best. And Clinton's cousin came in and she was like, you know, honey, I want to talk to you. And I said, okay. I said, I'm so embarrassed. And she's like, you don't need to be. She's like, Clinton, you know, told me that you're sick and that you have colitis. And she said, I have colitis too. And then she lifted up her shirt and she had her colostomy bag there. Now, this lady has 2 kids. She runs a house. She's a teacher. She is up all the time and hers is really severe. And I just looked at myself and I looked at her and I was like, I cannot ever complain again in my life. You know what I mean? Because mine, like if I say I have colitis, people think I'm like her. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not like that. And so I'm very aware of using that word and then immediately saying I don't have to take medications if I avoid certain foods and things like that.
Yeah,
you know,
what are the foods you avoid? Like what besides
a lot of like,
what are your triggers?
Yeah, definitely a 3-pound lobster.
A lot of like nightshade foods. You know what I mean? And anything that's really like too acidic. You know, a lot of acidic foods has to do with it, and then also too just like different combinations of foods. You know,
what's
because
a bad combination for you?
I would say like fish and fruit is a bad combination.
Wow. Oh, because all the acid from that,
Yeah. Or any, like if I eat, like the thing that had made me really sick on that day was, it was a delicious chicken salad, but it had all of the things. It had grapes, it had poppy seeds, it had walnuts, it had little tiny sunflower seeds, you know, and it's not like diverticulosis where the seeds get trapped in the pockets. It's just really inflammation. And like my grandmother had something like 35 yards of her colon taken out.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure you guys, you know, you're colon freaks. The colon is huge.
Yeah.
It is giant. Like you can lose that much and not even notice.
Yeah.
It's
You know
amazing.
what I mean?
It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And too, also as well, I have had about 90 polyps removed. So
man.
I'm
That's why
a
you've had all the
natural.
colonoscopies.
Yeah. And it's all been fine, you know.
And
it's
the
all
polyps
been,
were more, you were testing to see about your colitis?
They've all been fine. Well, I would just go in, I have to go in every year anyway for a screening because I have so many polyps. And one of the times I went to get a colonoscopy, I couldn't find anybody to pick me up. So he decided to come and get me. And apparently I was so high after I've come out. The doctor was walking me down. And this is what my husband said to me. He said the doctor was saying, you know, oh, I'm sorry. I hope it didn't hurt too much or something. And at the time I was a dominatrix and I'm like, that's okay. I get paid to hurt people. And just totally inappropriate. And then I guess when I got back into my room, I had my dressing gown on and I turned around to my husband and I know he saw my butthole because I'm like, is it all clean in there? Is it all clean? I'm like, does it look hot? I'm like, we should totally fuck in here. And he's like, no, babe. And he's just like laughing hysterically because I'm like, it's probably all lubed up. Let's do it. And he's like, no. And then I came out and I left. And then Clinton had told me once I was, you know, out of my stupor, he's like, you know, the door was open and all those ladies heard you asking me to give it to you in your freshly colonoscopized booty. I'm like, you're never going to be cleaner. But here's a totally weird thing. For most, they say legally for people over 50 that your colonoscopy is free.
Yeah.
Through your insurance. Now, here's the deal. Going in is free. If they find anything and have to take it out, they charge you per polyp.
Oh, yeah.
That's
so the last time I went, as I was going in, the lady said, yeah, this is going to be $1,700. And I was like, no. And it was 6 a.m. and I was walking out of the lobby and I see my gastroenterologist come in with her beautiful little Coach purse and her fancy outfit and looking very glorious dynam. And I was like, I was in tears and she goes, what's wrong, Shelly? What's wrong? And I was like, I can't afford to do this. I said, this is really fucked. You guys should have told me before. And she goes, well, we don't know if we're going to find anything. And I was like, you insist that I get one every year because you know they're going to find something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say, don't take anything out. You know, and she basically, you know, talked me down off the bidet and, you know, said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you who she was or where it was, but I didn't get a bill for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I was absolutely traumatized and yet she knew, you know, and that's the thing is it's like, you know, when you see movies like every movie where, you know, somebody's going to die, they have to have the coughing blood and the handkerchief. And then you're like, oh, it's bad. You know what I mean? And when you have colitis, you get used to shitting blood. Like it's not even that big a deal.
Yeah.
You just don't, you know what I mean?
It's scary though. I mean, when we interviewed the woman with rectal cancer, she knew that was like the moment. You know the difference between blood from a hemorrhoid and blood from your colon and rectum.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
And that can still be scary. And you have colitis, but God forbid you don't get tested and you don't get colonoscopies and something turns into cancer.
That's right. That's exactly right. And the fact that I have consistently had so many polyps and none of them are cancerous.
That's great.
Is an even better reason. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But even I'm just a grower, man. I have a lot of moles that I grow every year that I have to get checked because I did have skin cancer and it was a tiny little freckle, and I ended up getting 22 stitches.
Yikes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so, you have to be on top of that stuff. And
Completely.
the first, like when I met Clint, that was, was something, like it's weird. Like you date somebody and then let's say you have herpes and you want to talk to them about the sexually transmitted disease, they can make a choice whether or not they want to fuck you or they want to fuck you with condoms.
Yeah.
But when you talk to somebody and you say, okay, listen, there's going to be some days where I possibly shit on myself and it's going to be gross and you're going to hear me be weird and sick and you can't do anything, nor should you do anything. That's not easy for people, You've got to make, you have to make the poop stories known, and if you have problems and you travel with people, you have to let them know.
Oh,
exactly,
yeah.
100%. There's going to be some issues.
Yeah,
definitely.
Or potential issues.
Oh, yeah. It's like, okay, I'm going to shit my pants right now. Like full on.
It's going down.
Yes. I'm in Bridesmaids all the way. My favorite scene ever.
Oh,
because
yeah,
people
so
who have that, they know. It's like, oh, you know what? Yep. And I have to say, she should give an Oscar. She's like, oh, yeah, it's happening. Because there's nothing, all of your pride, everything is gone.
Yep.
You're just shitting in the street.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shelly, talking about pooping your pants, that's our favorite question is if there's zero toilet in sight, do you go in their pants or somewhere on the ground?
I would definitely go on the ground.
Nice.
I would definitely. Well, you know what? Here, I don't know if anybody's brought this up or not, but I think it would happenstance on how far I was to my house.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I was within a walkable distance without getting a shit rash,
Sorry.
I would be okay.
Yes.
You know what that is, Dave.
Oh,
you
yes.
You think like you wipe well enough, and then you're like, how did I miss that?
Feeling
it's like a diaper rash for baby.
Awful feeling. Awful feeling.
Good old Desitin, which I have to say, I love the smell of Desitin. I
hate it.
Oh,
you're
God,
like,
I love it.
It's too medical.
It just.
Are you wearing Desitin, baby? What is that? What's that new fragrance you got?
Well, and also too, before baby aspirin used to taste like oranges. It was like a vanilla orange baby aspirin. Yeah, because I inadvertently almost committed suicide at 7 by eating a whole bottle of baby aspirin because I'm like, this is good. Like,
I remember
forget
that.
about the Tide Pod challenge.
Oh my God, I definitely remember that flavor.
Remember? They were pink and sweet.
It just completely rushed back to my memory.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think they finally figured that out.
Yeah, I guess it was delicious.
But yeah, I would say on the ground. I have definitely pooped outside.
Yes. You said before you pooped in the woods plenty of times, but it sounds like you've also shit your pants plenty of times.
I haven't shit my pants that many times. I'd say maybe throughout my life, maybe 5 times.
That's not bad.
That's a lot more than the average, I would say.
Is it really?
I mean, like adult life, not including like childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, there are special circumstances like me that I just did it last week, but but we've had guests on the podcast that were like, I never shit my pants once until recently, and now I'm going to tell you that story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, I was one of those people who looked down on people like that, and then all of a sudden I cursed myself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It happens.
It does.
Shit happens, and that's the perfect example of it. But yeah, I would say depending on the ratio of how far I had to my house.
And what's your favorite kind of toilet paper, and do you put it on the roll over or under?
I'm still shocked that you guys ask that question because it is impossible not to go with a waterfall goes down. Okay. A waterfall goes down. Fuck your reverse TikTok videos of your cat putting on a surgical mask. No, waterfalls go down.
I agree with you, but my co-host does not. And we have probably, I want to say, like 20% of our guests are unders.
I would say it's less than that. I think it's more like 10 to 15%, but I'm an under. I don't like the over. I feel like with a waterfall, sometimes when you hit that roll, it just keeps cascading down. Now you got like fucking a whole wad of paper at the bottom of the floor.
But what you're doing is you're blaming the toilet paper when it is in fact possibly your storage situation. If the roll isn't round, it's going to flop, and then the weight is going to push it over. So if your hole is round, maybe you have a kink in your hole.
A kink in my hole? I should get my hole looked at.
Another reason why Tiny has to look at this.
Yeah, right.
I would say we'll know about that kink after you get back.
Yes,
from the
exactly.
doctor.
And what brand, Shelly?
You know, I'm a real basic girl. I like straight up just, Scott.
Yeah.
I like Scott, the plain tissue.
I'm a Scott
like
man
the
myself.
1,000 runs, because I don't need to be worrying if I have to Swiffer my ass, okay? Unless you have no body hair, unless you're an adolescent, any kind of that super soft tissue doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
And how many times have you gone in to go, more for women, more so than men, because I've definitely eaten more biscuit than I have, man ass. But a lot of times, like, you go in for the biscuit and you look and you're like, is that a tampon string? And you're like, oh, no, it's just a little piece of toilet paper. And you flick it away.
TP crumbles.
You don't want to embarrass them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't like all of that. Anything that leaves dust on the plastic, you can't be clean.
Yeah.
That's a flaky
it's
crust
too
right
crumbly. It's crumbles.
TP crumbles crack me up because they look like little, like someone was sitting in class, like a boring like high school class, and just doing little spit wads and just leaving them somewhere.
That's exactly right.
Or this one comedian used to say, like, they look like when you're about to have sex with a girl and you can't see the TP crumbles. They look like someone just had a cast removed.
Yeah.
You're just like,
with just a little bit.
swiping away like all this dust. And he's like, if you're a gentleman, you don't let someone know that. You just do it.
No.
You just wipe it away.
You flick it away. I
Exactly.
remember hearing this comic, and he was talking about how women complained about how men left, pee drops on the toilet seat. And he had come out and he was talking about that. And he goes, do you know how many times men flick away toilet paper from your vagina and don't say anything?
Yeah.
But he's like, men, if you really want to mess with your lady, just one day when she's actually on her period and she's on her period, you leave the restroom and you come in and you say, oh, honey, I just wanted to let you know that you left a little drop of blood on the toilet seat, but I cleaned it up. No big deal. And he's like, my girlfriend was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He goes, yeah, that's how it works. You know what I mean? Because, women have chastised men all the time about peeing, but his sort of intention was that so many women are embarrassed about their bodily fluids that if you had said found a piece of toilet paper on the vagina, they'd be like, I never want you to go down on me again. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm like,
exactly.
I'm like, let me just brush this off here. Get that.
You know what? Done by
Who
me.
cares? Yeah, it's like pink.
A toilet paper in the butthole, though, that's a little different.
Oh, I mean, come on. I think you've left some unfinished business. You might want to go back to the bathroom.
that's when you you just lick the knuckle and pretend it's your tongue, and then you're just like that, Because in the anus, they can't really tell the big difference.
I think I'd be like, can you go back and finish what you started, please?
Just like that.
Yeah.
Those of you that can't see, I'm licking my knuckle and shoving it in.
These are pro tips here, people. Pro tips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you use anything to help you poo besides your waste baskets? But do you have any products, like anything to help with smell or squatty potty, bidet, any of that kind of stuff?
No, I'm a total old schooler. I always keep matches in the bathroom. Not wooden ones though. I only use the paper ones because the wooden ones can often get trapped and mess up your pipes. And if you are going
when you're flushing them,
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so if you're, there used to be a company that they were toilet matches. And so they had like a thing so you could take them out, strike it, and then put it in the side. So it would be, the empty ones. And then you could use them for like Kindle and stuff. It was probably around the same time that, you could they had where you, oh my God, speaking of poop, Zelda just ripped the biggest fart. And that's what she does when she has to go poop. She looks outside.
Zelda's Shelly's famous little dog.
Yes, or Boston terrorist, as it were. Hold on one second. Husband, are you going to the bathroom or are you in the shower? When you get out, can you take Zelda out? Because she has to poop. My husband's pooping right now.
Oh.
It's right in there. Yell hi, husband. Wow, have you guys ever had that where you've had like 3 poopers?
Well, in an episode that we recorded while we've been on quarantine, we didn't do it FaceTime. It was just a phone call. I had to poop so badly. I just let Dave and the guest talk, and I put it on mute and ran to the toilet. So I literally shit mid-show, and you can't even tell where I did it because it was so fast and stealthy.
What would you call, if Bristol has just the forms and the colors and textures, what would you, I think you guys should also come up with another thing of like urgency. You know what I mean? Like if it's a Bristol 4, DEFCON 3.
Yeah, the DEFCON.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talked about that in the show before. DEFCON for sure is a good measure of, where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. So the toilet paper, basic Scott, and with my CVS coupon, you can just get it. I don't have a squatty potty. I don't need one. I just use my actual trash can and I put my feet up on there. You don't need to buy anything special.
No, you can use books.
Yeah, you can use books. You can use, whatever. And we did get a one of those seats, like I can't remember what it was called now. It was not a bidet, but it was, what was that one that was the Tushy? We got the Tushy.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
No. We had it for about a year and I couldn't fucking stand. Those things are impossible to get pristinely clean without taking them apart.
Yep.
I could not stand not being able to get between the little things and knowing that every single time we squirted our butts, there was just a little bit of flying fecal matter. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And it just became so gross to me to think about all of that poop just lurking under there. And I remember one day I came home and my husband was like, oh my God. And I was like, what? He goes, I took the Tushy seat off. I was like, don't tell me. He goes, it was disgusting. And I'm like, I'm sure, because that's what they don't give you is a solid way to clean it.
Yeah.
Now you can, you don't have to worry about even sometimes the little sprayer gets a little poop on it. And it's really hard to do. I don't know how it happens. Who knows the angle of the butthole? Because you're like, how did you shit underneath the toilet bowl? Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, I make sure I clean all that.
Yeah, it's not the nozzle. It's the hardware.
Well, the hardware underneath,
it's the gap from the toilet to the Tushy, and then the like the little rings and stuff in between, and then directly behind, and then also too the metal part that covers how you put your toilet seat on. All around there is crusty.
Yeah,
and I just
I just take mine apart a little bit. I loosen it and then take a little. If I'm doing deep cleaning.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, but it did not work.
Fair enough.
It did not work for us. I mean, I do, I would prefer just a regular bidet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everything is there, and bidets are not good to vomit in if you are sitting on the toilet, just so you know.
No, not at all.
You got to scoop that out.
Oh, that's it's basically a giant bowl at that point.
It's just disgusting.
Oof.
Yeah.
Just gross. So no, I don't need any of that stuff. But we were talking earlier about things that I do to help me poop. And I've ever since I've had colitis, and I also have a lot of my anxiety definitely makes itself known through my digestive system. And so sometimes what I'll do, I don't know, I'll see if I can get a little bit further away from you guys here. And I work in a counterclockwise motion with both of my hands. So I'll start here and then I just sort of press and circle
Yeah.
All the way down. And then I bring it here and I do this and just sort of roll it, like knead it underneath. And because I have a belly, I do just pick it up and kind of move it around a little bit.
Yes.
And then what I do is I do the opposite of most of the fire breathing, like where they tell you, take a super gnarly inhale and then exhale. Well, I take a regular inhale and then I only exhale fire breath through my nose past the inhale. So I'll just take like a regular breath and then I'll just do. And I keep going and I keep going and I keep going, keeping my body nice and tall. And I can feel, because the size of the lungs are as big as your rib cage. That's what it's there for, to be captured by that. And with the sternum at the bottom right there, when you get those sort of like solar plexus involved, it causes, for me, I feel the warmth, I feel the heat, and I can feel it. It's like pushing down a toothpaste tube.
Gotcha.
Oh,
interesting.
And this because being an opera singer, there's a lot of breath work in
a lot of diaphragm control.
And controlling your diaphragm. So that's that makes total sense.
Yeah, the rubbing really, really works for me. And it's just like a deep kneading. You know what I mean?
Do you have any other stories for us before we go into our next segment?
Well, I do. I have another. I'll make it with brevity. This was an embarrassing sort of Judy Blume teenage shit my pants moment. My mom had a friend whose name was Brooklyn, which was very funny because I was in California and she was a total Brooklynite. And my mom and her had started the first mobile dog grooming company in Los Angeles. And they would go around and like wash people's dogs in their vans and stuff like that. And Brooklyn was going to go meet like a financial backer for them. And they lived up in Palos Verdes, which is this beach mountain region in California where there's a lot of horseback riding trails and stuff like that. And so Brooklyn said, you know what, we're going to go out to lunch. We're going to have a great time. And then I'm going to take you up to this horse ranch and we're going to meet these people and it's going to be so awesome. So I was like, great. So we ended up going to Arby's. Okay. Right. So you know how this is going to end.
Oh yeah.
And I had like, 2 roast beef sandwiches and a cream soda, which was like my jam back then. And it was summer. So it was probably about 95, 97 degrees. And she had a little Volkswagen Beetle, no air conditioning. So we eat lunch and we're driving up into the mountains and I hear it. What does that sound, Dave? Yeah. Yes, very, very close to that. And I said, I have to go to the bathroom, Brooklyn. And she's like, honey, we're almost there. And this is like, where it's like just a long road up into it. And I was like, no, you need to pull over. And she's like, honey, I swear we're almost there. We're almost there. And I'm like, how you sort of put your feet on the dashboard and you're leaning up because you're squeezing your ass cheeks together and, like, Lord, don't shit me now, and I have my hips up like that and I just shit. All in my Levi 401s. Okay. I totally remember that because it was the first pair that I got on my own that weren't my mom's. And so I shit my pants and she's like, oh my God, honey, I'm so sorry. And I didn't want to sit down. So I'm just like arched like this in the car in the Beetle. And she goes, here. So she pulls up to this road, right? And there's like this big house and it's got like all of that in LA, all along the highway, they have these weird, ice plants, they call them. And they're these very sturdy sort of succulents that live outside all the time. And they had a whole lawn of these succulents. And then up by the succulents, there was a hose that was out in the yard. And so Brooklyn says, we're going to go up to this driveway. You're going to go up there. I'm going to wash your ass with this hose. And I'm like, okay, and I think I'm maybe like 10 or 11, I think, at this point. So this was, early 70s. And so we get up there, and sure enough, she's like, pull your pants down. So I pull my pants down like to my knees, and I'm bending over, and she's like hosing my ass off and hosing my jeans off. And the fucking guy comes out of his house, and he's like, what are you doing out here? And he sees some woman hosing a fucking teenage girl's butthole and vagina with her pants down in his lawn. And he's like, what are you guys doing here? And she was like, I'm sorry. She shit her pants. We didn't know where else to go. And he's like, you've got to get off my property. So I have super watery shit in my pants and my underwear. And I put him back on, and we get up to the house, right?
My God.
And she's like, I'm going to have to say something to these people because I don't want to leave you outside. But before I bring you in, I want to be like, listen, I'm going to bring some shit-stained, little punk kid in here. And so the lady was really nice, and she said, oh God, don't worry about it. Please bring her in. We'll wash her clothes. She can take a bath. And while we have our meeting, we'll wash the clothes and put them in the dryer. She can have a bath, and then you guys can go home. So I was feeling very sweet about that. So I'm sitting in the bathtub, with my little poop clothes next to me. And this super hot teenage boy just opens the door and walks into the bathroom. And he looks at me in the bathtub, and he looks down at the ground. There's just all my shit pants right there. And he goes, who are you? And I'm like, hi, I'm Shelly. And he goes, oh, you're the girl that shit her pants. And then he walked out.
What a dick.
Now, that's like some Tiger Beat shit right there. Because he was super hot. He was older. And I'm like, oh, hi. Fuck the cat ate my gym suit. Judy Blume needs to write, I shit my pants in a rich boy's house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my
so
God.
Embarrassing. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I can't hold it anymore. I have to pee really bad. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry.
No
okay.
I just came back from the bathroom, and I want to announce, as much as I had to pee very, very badly, and I made pee-pee, I also made a Bristol 3, came out because I had to pee so bad.
In that short time?
Yep.
That's efficiency.
Well, that's my body. When I gotta go, it's ready to come out. It just flies right out.
But you didn't even know until you sat down.
I just had to pee-pee. Yeah.
Well, this is actually a great little segue. We have our little segment called Let's Get Shitty, where you get to complain about things. It doesn't have to be poop related, but if it does, you get extra points.
Awesome.
So I'm going to play this little intro, and we'll get right into it.
Sounds good.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for Let's Get Shitty.
That was I love that little intro too. That was voiced by Evil Hate Monkey. And then I took that and just made it into a little.
I thought I heard a twang.
Yeah, I made it into a little ditty.
It is.
So
here's a little ditty I'd like to share.
And Shelly, since you're our guest, if you'd like to go first with your any complaints, rants, and it could be anything. It could be small, large. It could be whatever you got. Or we could swing back to you. There's no pressure here.
No, that's okay, because I have so many things that I want to complain about. I'm like, just pick one, Watson. Just pick one. I would have to say that one of the things that's really bothering me now, and I hate to talk about all the corona stuff, is just the amount of people who are still being complete assholes to people. You know what I mean? Especially essential workers, and people are just being total dicks. I literally almost got in a fist fight with a woman at CVS because she was being so rude to this guy. They don't have many shopping carts in there, and it's usually the older people that have them to fill their stuff with. Yeah. And this woman was checking out. She had all her stuff on the counter, and then she had one bag of prescription pills. So it was just one little tiny bag. And the guy came over and he said, oh, excuse me, ma'am, would you mind picking up your prescription bag so I can give this cart? And she's like, I'm using this cart. And he's like, no, all of your stuff is on there. I'm going to take this cart. And she took the cart and she fucking shoved it at him and almost knocked him over. And I was like, excuse me. And she was like, what? You want to fucking say something? I'm like, I think I did. And then she just grabbed her shit and left. And then right after that, I went to the market and I was, on the tape line, the 6 feet apart. Mm-hmm. And I was in front of the chip aisle and Utz comes out with a new thing all the time. So I was looking for my cheddar jalapeno Utz potato chips. And I hear this woman just like, like making all these sounds. And I turn around and I said, what's up? She goes, you're taking long enough. Move your fat ass. And I was like, and she was like 65, maybe in her 70s. And I said, excuse me, I was making my choice. Well, she goes, you look like you're fucking spaced out. And then she walked to the end of the aisle. And when I got to the end of the aisle, she was there. And she just looked at me. And I was like, ooh, lady, we are going to fucking go down right next to these Morton Williams fucking pot pies. Like, what's going to happen? And then the guy in the store came over and he's like, please, because they know me. He's like, she's crazy. So what I think is really shitty is how shitty people are being to people who are there for them.
Yeah.
Well, it's
that's the thing.
It's like these people are like, they were assholes before this whole thing started. And now they're both like, it's like, it's being amplified.
Yeah.
Like, now it could be much.
These essential workers, they're not getting paid nearly enough.
Oh my God, no, not even. And it's just everyday, stuff. Like just, being like kind to people. Like I hadn't left my house in almost 2 weeks, except for to help this older woman who I befriended. I don't know if you guys heard about the woman Claire I met. She's 89.
Yes. I saw your post about that. Yes.
I told her that I was going to be on the podcast. And I said, I don't know if they've had any super seniors on there. And she's got a lot of shit problems. And she'd love to talk to you guys about it.
Yeah.
We'll get her info.
She's in her 80s and she is hilarious. She was like, the second conversation we had was about her hemorrhoids. And I was like, this is my girl right here. This is my girl.
The oldest person we've had on the podcast was my father, who at the time was 79, but he's 80 now.
Yeah.
So he's the oldest. And the youngest we had on the podcast was Mickey, who is from Hello Tushy, had her 2-year-old son on. So we are all about a range of people.
We've the gamut. We run the gamut.
Well, everybody poops.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Not sometimes, hopefully all the time.
Well, then there's people, and my sister will never hear this, so I'm fine saying it, but she's so uptight. She cannot she won't poop if her husband's in the house. Wow. She's not pooped for 5 days on camping trips because she couldn't be alone.
That's so unhealthy.
I know.
So unhealthy.
I know.
Dave, do you have a Let's Get Shitty?
Yes, I do. Now, it's like these people, again, this is all, obviously, this is going to be, maybe it's a quarantine / pandemic themed bitch session, but the whole thing with people not wearing the mask, I still don't get that. Like out in public, like it's just insane. And then the hostility they give you when you're like, hey, maybe put your mask on. They're like, fuck you, like it's kind of nuts.
Communist.
Yeah, I run in a mask now, which is the worst thing. It's like I fucking hate it. It's so hard to breathe, but I do it because it's just the right thing to do. And look, I'm not a complete idiot. Like if I'm running and there's no one around, I take my mask off. But then the second I see anybody yards away, I put it back on just because you never know. So anyway, last weekend I'm going for a longer run, and out of nowhere I see these 2 women run by me, no masks on. I mean, it was, and they're completely sweaty like I am, and it's just no regard for anybody else's safety or just it was just, and they were really close. It wasn't just they were not doing the 6 foot thing.
No.
And I'm like, who do you think you are? You think you're some magical, I don't get sick kind of person? I mean, it's just infuriating. So just put the goddamn mask on. It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's not
Well, it's not really easy. As you said, it is hard to breathe in when you're running.
Okay,
but you do
running
it
aside,
for
yes.
everybody. You don't just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be a selfish asshole.
I mean, running aside, yes, that's a little more tricky. But if you're just walking down the street, and I get there's different people who have different issues with maybe possibly breathing, but I mean, as a whole, just putting a simple mask over your face is a lot easier than being mandated to stay home to the point where you can't go outside.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at least have a little bit of it's like a garden party compared to some countries as far as But I mean, that's my rant.
It's a good one.
My Let's Get Shitty is, and this episode will come out, I think, around the time, I think it's the day after or a week before, I can't remember. But our our, what's it called, primary election has been moved back in New York because of the quarantine. And I'm fine with that, like everything to make sure that we stay safe. And they were saying that we would probably vote by mail, which I'm also fine with. Like, I know our governor will get that shit together. He is very efficient. He's been on top of this to vote by mail. But just on Monday, our stupid state voted against having Bernie on the ballot. And yes, we know Bernie Sanders is not running anymore, but he was supposed to be on our primary ballot. And with our votes, he could have more delegates at the DNC, and he could speak in behalf of people like us who need help, especially he believes in universal health care for all. And I'm really pissed off at New York State for taking him off the ballot. As they called it, it's not a beauty contest. Fuck you. It's called my right to vote, and I should be able to vote for my candidate, even if he wasn't even my original. Elizabeth was my original. Then Bernie was my number 2. But it's like, I should be able, the fact that I can't even vote in a primary this year is bullshit. And I'm really pissed off about it.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, like always, we're going to take those problems. We're going to flush them down the toilet.
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah, there we go. So,
I feel slightly better.
Yes.
Good.
A little better.
Just a tiny bit.
That flush just cured everything. Everything's fine.
A tiny turd of a better.
So we're going to do our last segment, which is news. And I got a pretty good, since you're our guest, I have a nice little interesting news story for you. I love that ender. So since Shelly's very musical, obviously you're a trained opera singer. You've done lots of stuff with music. I thought it'd be best to do a whole news story or like little tidbits of news based around music. So,
I love it.
Yeah, so these are like short little quick little things, but it's all kind of goes to the whole theme of this. So I just typed in before this interview had started, like initially I typed in opera singers that have shit their pants on stage. Nothing. Actually, surprisingly, nothing really came up specifically to do with opera.
Disappointment.
That being said, though, a lot of other music-related stuff came up. So, even though this is not necessarily operatic, these are musicians. They are singers. They're people that use their voice as an instrument, and
they are people who shit their pants.
So it kind of all goes into one thing. So the first one was the singer Ed Sheeran, who I only know that one annoying song, but. Obviously, even if you don't know who the guy is, you've heard that song. So anyhow, this gentleman he accidentally pooped his pants while he was in concert. He was on somewhere in an Australian radio station giving an interview about talking about how he's farted on stage a lot. He's moving around, it's like, it's not a big deal. This is what I do. But this particular show, I forgot exactly where this particular show was. I'm guessing Australia. That's why they were interviewing him. But he was hopping around doing his thing, and then I thought like I had a fart, and all of a sudden, that fart betrayed him, and he pretty much.
As we've learned on this show, never trust a fart.
As he said, I misjudged a fart on stage, which ended up being a shart. So. And then he just said basically, instead of moving around, he's kind of like stood in like one spot for a while because he still hadn't finished the show, which I love. The other story, which is, that story was from 2015. These are all kind of all over the place. This one's a lot older. I forgot the exact year. I forgot to do the screen grab for this, but it was the late great Chuck Berry, and who was a total perv.
Oh yeah, is this Chuck Berry pissing?
Yeah, he did he owned, I guess, a hotel or some kind of like this little motel thing, and they found out later on, he was arrested for this, that he installed cameras inside toilets, the women's bathrooms, to see them shitting. So
oh, that's way more than just being a perv.
Oh, he's like he's demented. So the man who rented rock and roll basically like watching people shit.
Wow.
Well, Dave, how long have you guys been in New York?
I've been here since 96.
Same here.
Okay, so then I'm sure that you guys remember Robin Bird, right?
Yes,
the
Robin Bird
show on cable. Mm-hmm. And don't you remember they always had that same celebrity tape? And it was like Rob Lowe with an underage girl. Then they would say, is this Chuck Berry pissing on a prostitute? And it was videotapes of him peeing on all kinds of people. They made a bunch of them.
And it was so crazy though, but it was in St. Louis where he's from.
I can believe it. But I don't know, have you guys talked to any doms who are shit specialists?
Yes.
We talked to one, our episode 10. It was our as I like to call it, our 11. We went there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are always willing to talk to more.
It was, because I was a dominatrix for about 6 years, and that's really where a lot of good money is. But it is really hard to shit on command.
Oh, yeah.
We found that out.
Also produced, because you guys know this, people have preferences, just like dicks. They have a preference on what kind of shit they want to see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oof. Yikes.
Yeah, no.
So,
man.
Like
and sitting on command, you might get more of a liquidy one than the kind that you really want.
I would be like, let's say Burger King, dude. You don't get it your way. You get what's coming.
Yeah, Well, there used to be this one guy who was a brain surgeon that would come in, and none of the girls at the studio at that time were able to do that. And so he would order us all lunch, and then he would basically just watch us all eat it. And then he would leave the room, and we'd make all these piles of fake food poop. And then he would pretend that we had shit all of that out of the food that he just bought us, and then
that's
eat
hilarious.
it. Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, and then he would eat it? Woo!
You don't even know, girl. People send people specific things to eat so that when they poop, they get exactly what they want.
Oh, Lordy.
It's just a baby Ruth.
Hell to the no. Come on. Hell no.
Well, the last little segment, this little bit of this story. And I guess this one, you like that?
You just made me lose my shit.
Oh my God.
Just hopefully not in your pants.
No.
This other gross moment in rock comes to us from this amazing hardcore band I love, Dillinger Escape Plan. The singer, Greg, I guess it's Pucciato or Pucciato. I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But he shat into a bag at a festival and threw it into the audience. And one of my favorite lines he wrote, "You're going to see a lot of shit in the stage today. You might as well see some more." Just threw it.
Wow.
I thought that was one of the funniest, most ballsy, fucked up things to do, because you just know you're I had heard that story before, and I forgot the bands they were playing with, but the lineup was horrible. I mean, and I think they put those guys first. And if you've heard this band before, the way they're so light years ahead of what was coming after them, that I thought that was the perfect just introduction.
Oh my goodness.
Gets crazy out there on the road. This was This was at the Reading
This
was at the Reading Festival 2002.
Reading, California.
No, Reading. I think the Reading Festival in England, the big one.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is crazy stuff. Anyway, that being said, and that little send off, Shelly Watson, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
My pleasure.
You are fantastic. I loved this. I loved it. It was so much fun.
And it's awesome. That you, like I said, that you guys are talking about this, and it's taken off, really great. And I'm loving the cartoons. I'm loving all of this new stuff that you guys are doing.
Oh, the cartoons are so great.
It's great. It's really great, and it's really taken off.
Matt Holtzclaw is killing it with those animations.
He's kind of the best anyway. So you know what I mean.
Really good. But so where can we, for people that don't know you, where can we find you? Social media wise.
Yeah, I have the social medias. I have just, of course, finding out about my shows and stuff, even if they're online, is my website, shellywatson.com. But I'm doing live Facebook shows on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And my Facebook and my Instagram are both Shelly Watson Sings. So it's just, my name and then add Sings after that. And,
excellent.
I'm out and about all the time, even though, we're indoors. I found a lot of time to really sit down and enjoy my poops.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going to miss having my own perfect poop schedule. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, when this episode comes out, it'll almost be 2 months after we record it. So hopefully we could be a little bit more out and about by that time.
Oh, yeah. That would be great.
That would be great. But again, though, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay! Thanks you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk about my butthole. And Dave, I am literally on the edge of my toilet seat waiting to hear about your butthole. Okay?
Yeah, me too. My butthole and I have never met, so it'd be good. Nice little introduction.
Well, please, you know, something you guys might want to think about too is, you know, offering to send out to special VIP members scratch and sniff cards. So, you know, you could have like, this is a vegan poop smell. This is a paleo poop smell.
Oh my God. We'll get right on that.
Yeah, you do it. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you. Happy pooping, everybody, and toot, toot, toot.
Hey Poopy Podcast is brought to you by Perfect 4 Entertainment. Produced by Dave and Ellen, with executive producer Stormy Leather, edited by me, Dave.
For more information, go to heypoopypodcast.com for episodes, merch, and more. Follow us on Instagram at heypoopypodcast and Twitter at heypoopy. Theme song by Jordan Perlson. Hey